The job that I have now, when I finished college, we didn't even know existed, right? It's a very unique role.
Sure.
And so
very specialized.
It's very specialized. And so we had no idea. Most people don't know that this exists unless they need independent engineering services. Then they're not going to know about it. And the only reason I knew about it is because, independent engineers would come to our construction sites and I was the tour guide.
Right.
I would give them the tours and explain where we were in the project and things like that. But it's not something that you would ever go to school and be like, when I'm done, I really want to be an independent engineer, because it's not a known thing.
The world of energy and the technology shaping it. I'm Josh Tate, and this is Between Two Turbines. Ginger Elbaum, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So tell me about what brought you to E3, and I know your background is in mechanical engineering. So yeah, tell me about that pathway. What kind of led you to the engineering side of things and ultimately to E3?
Yeah, first, I am a mechanical engineer. That actually came from my granddad, who was also an engineer. He worked in oil and gas, but I have these really cool pictures from back when he worked on power plants back in his day. And of course, it would horrify you, the lack of safety measures.
Oh, so. I'm sure. Yeah.
No hard hats. People are just standing under turbines, and it's fine.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, we've come a long way. Thank goodness, too. And so that's how I kind of started down my interest in engineering. And it's a little bit of the path less traveled, I'll say, for women. And so, I'm always up for a challenge.
Yeah.
So anyway, I enjoyed it, still enjoy it. My first job, I actually didn't know what I wanted to do, and I had a variety of different job offers, but I just knew I didn't want to work inside in a design office. So I ended up working at a quarry out in West Texas, and then from there I decided that was not where I wanted to be in my early 20s. And I then moved to work for Calpine Corporation, building power plants, much like my granddad.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool, kind of following in his footsteps. And so I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I loved construction, but that is a very difficult way to live your life. Kudos to those that can be lifers at it, because it is very, very fun. Very fun work, very fast, very furious, quick decision making.
What goes into that? I mean, I can only imagine as a plant's being built.
Yeah.
Everything
all the time.
We just had a tour at the Hilltop facility, and I think it took us a couple hours to see everything.
Right.
And there's a lot of stairs, and there's a lot of
stairs.
But it's
best shape of my life.
Yeah, there is just some incredible technology going on in there.
It is really, really neat and really fun. I actually had the good fortune of being a rotating equipment field engineer. So that's the turbines and your large feed water pumps, for example. And so I was paired with a superintendent. And the superintendent and myself would go out and, resolve field issues on the rotating equipment. And then I actually worked my way into a project engineer's role, which was on some of the smaller parts of the project. So, Mankato, for example, I was the project engineer for the water plant that was being constructed off-site. So I kind of moved my role, and then once you become the project engineer on those job sites, at least for Calpine, then you're the overseer of all the engineers, kind of the lead engineer at that point, which was very fun. I really loved that work. I would still be doing it if I just didn't think it was so hard to looking for some more stability.
Yeah. But the experience, though.
Oh, the experience is, it's one of the things that we love at E3 is that kind of experience. And we have, most of our team actually has field experience, and we think it's a differentiator for us and sets us apart.
Yeah. Is it similar? I've heard a lot of times with construction, they oftentimes struggle with the architects because they've never worked on the ground.
That's right. Yeah.
I wonder if there's a similarity there.
That's right. So the architect engineers that design the projects, and then they they run models. I mean, very skilled. I mean, wow, to be able to design those plants, right? I mean, they have amazing engineering capabilities, but sometimes it's the pragmatism. I'll say.
Of life type stuff.
Well, there's quality of life for sure, and just being able to, I mean, we worked a lot of hard hours. But kind of on your comment about the architect engineers, it's just they don't spend the time in the field. They've been hired as engineers to be office and desk engineers, and then out in the field we have to live with whatever they've designed and make it work. But we send back lessons learned, and ideally they do it again and it's better the next time. And lessons learned are every engineer's best friend.
Totally. And you've had this energy generation in your DNA.
The whole time.
For all this time.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what was that conversation like with your parents? Did they just know, like, this is exactly where you should go, or was it? No, what'd they say?
I don't think any of us knew, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing about my career path that's been neat, and I would say it's advice that I give to maybe sort of next generation is just start down a path, whatever it is that makes sense for you today. Just do that. Like, don't overthink it. Like, just get started, because the job that I have now, when I finished college, we didn't even know existed, right? It's a very unique role.
Sure.
And so
very specialized.
It's very specialized, and so we had no idea. Most people don't know that this exists unless they need independent engineering services. Then they're not going to know about it. And the only reason I knew about it is because independent engineers would come to our construction sites, and I was the tour guide.
Right.
I would give them the tours and explain where we were in the project and things like that. But it's not something that you would ever go to school and be like, when I'm done, I really want to be an independent engineer, because it's not a known thing.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of, for the listeners and not for myself, of course, could you explain what is an independent engineer and what is how does that play a role in the operations of E3?
It's sort of our core service, independent engineering. So we also offer owner's engineering and field engineering services, but independent engineering is our core service. And what it is it's like a combination of engineering, commercial, and financial components of a project. So it's all the different pieces.
You're the glue, kind of.
It's bringing a whole project together. So it's the whole project picture, I would say. So if you were going to lend, $500 million, you would want an independent party to take a look at your project, right? And make sure that it makes sense.
Of course.
And identify any risks for you. What are the risks and how important are these risks? I mean, there's no project without risks, right? You can't completely de-risk a project. And so we look at the commercial aspects. So we look at all their contracts. We look at schedules. We look at budgets. We look at the technology that they're using. We have deep knowledge of the different technologies. So turbine technologies. We actually here at E3, we are really diverse. It's something that I'm really proud of with this team, is that we are so diverse. So we can actually look at a whole host of technologies, probably about 25 different technologies. We have the skill sets to review and analyze all of your technical concerns. So that's a lot of fun. We also look at offtake agreements, hedge arrangements. So things that, again, that you would, as an engineer, you would never expect that you were going to end up working on in your career, right? And then all of this kind of culminates in a financial model. And so then we review the financial models to make sure that the contracts and the technologies and the degradations and all the things we know about all the different pieces are accurately reflected in the model, but also, can we de-risk the project with some of the challenges in the financial model? So are there financial instruments that can be used to help de-risk the project as well? And if so, and if those are necessary for the project, then are those in the model as well? So we take a whole project view. It is very fun. And, for an engineer, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's very, very neat. We see all aspects. And then, we do this for pre-financing. So as projects, developers and banks are looking to borrow and lend money, we'll look at the projects, but we also look at refinancings. We do mergers and acquisitions. We do distressed assets. So your asset is underperforming, and now it's gone into what they call a workout situation, potentially a bankruptcy situation. Okay. We look at that. We can provide expert testimony because our team is made up of subject matter experts.
Right.
So it's a really smart group, which is also part of the fun of working with the group is just some really talented team members.
Yeah.
And then, we've all just evolved our skills over time. So it's a high learning environment. Yeah. And so, because the energy market has changed so much over, even my 19, years, it looks so different.
Yeah. And more to come.
Yeah. And more to come. And it's such a fun time to be part of this, this energy world, right? And all the back and forth, we went solar and renewables, heavy renewables and battery storage. And now we're seeing more gas, which, we love. It's most of us have that as our kind of core competency as well. And then we've just all evolved our skills and learned new things.
So if I'm understanding correctly, you have these asset owners or developers. They have big plans, huge projects. We need lots of energy for AI and the future, right? And
Got it.
They have the lending side, the financial side, and they are not necessarily experts in these plans, so they can't look at it and say, "Hey, can we lend to this project?"
Right.
And so
Should we?
E3 comes in and says to the developer, "Here's everything that you need to do to make it work." For the lender to make everything, on time or to completion. Right. Is that kind of...
Well, and so super good point. So we have a couple of different service lines. One is independent engineering, which is where our end client is the bank that's looking to fund. And at this point, the developer has already developed their contracts, their models, like all of those pieces. We also started doing owner's engineering work not too terribly long ago, mostly in the renewable space, where we help the developer almost as an extension of their team develop their projects further, so that they can get to a bankable outcome.
What kind of problems might they run into with the owner's engineering side? I
think some of the things that are, some of the places where we add value are, we know what a bankable outcome looks like, right? So we know what scrutiny your project will endure at the other end, because it's going to be an independent engineer, which is the service we also provide, doing that work. So we know what they're looking for. We also, I think one of the places that we really add some value, though, is that we know what market terms are. So you, for example, are looking at an O&M agreement, maybe NACE.
Sure.
Oftentimes NACE. But you're looking at an O&M agreement, and we can say, all right, that is a market agreement, a market level contract. That is comparable to what you would get from your other O&M providers, right? Or oftentimes where we see it will be like in an LTSA. So O&M's probably not my best example, because those are, a little bit of maybe an easier contract, but looking at an LTSA, so long-term service agreement with a turbine provider, for example, we can say they are not giving you their standard performance requirements or their standard LDs, or we know that they can do better, or so those are some of the places that we can add some value, and it pays dividends. I mean, it really can add up to some real dollars at the end of the day. And then also we can just help you with your contract terms. I mean, we've had different clients that have had some issues on their projects. One recently, they are having trouble getting through some of their completion requirements just because of weather. And so, we're like, well, we can't certify, completion, for example, but here's some alternatives, and here's some ways that we could help you make this work. And I think that's a differentiator for E3 as well, is we have been doing this for a long time. E3 was founded in 1999. And so we've been doing this for a long time. We have a lot of people that have been here at E3 for a long time, which is something that's pretty neat about our business.
Yeah.
It must be a great place to work.
Yeah.
And we must believe in the work we do, right?
Definitely.
We can not only say, all right, here's some issues with your project or here's some risks, but here's some solutions.
Yeah.
So it's not just throwing stones, it's helping you like get to that bankable outcome.
I wonder, for some of the listeners, I could see them being in maybe the operations or engineering side on the ground. And I wonder for them, since you're interfacing with the financial side of things as well, those are two different types of people altogether. What advice do you have for them? How do you talk to a financial institution or the bank, and how do you show them that you're bankable? I mean, what's some of your advice there?
Sure. Well, that's a great point, because I will say that it is not it's not engineers' sweet spot to speak maybe more in layman's terms.
Yeah.
So one of the things that makes an independent engineer good at their job is being able to speak the language in a way that's understood by like a financing party.
Yeah.
And so you cannot just talk in your tech speak, which we all
avoid
love to
acronyms.
We love it. We love a good acronym, so.
It condenses a lot of information,
It is. And, summarizing it and making it, in a way that's easier understood.
Yeah.
Because, our financing parties are excellent at project finance.
Yeah.
And that's not our sweet spot, right? We're excellent at technical things and commercial things. And so, we both have to communicate with each other in a way that we can both understand. I mean, it goes both ways. And then, when we speak with operators in the field teams, I mean, then we can all kind of nerd out and speak our engineering languages and our field languages. That's an easy one.
Yeah, I think I've been in the office too long. We were at a plant recently, and some of them have different shoe policies, and I need to start bringing the steel-toed boots. Yeah. And I think there's a totally different ethos when you get on the ground, and something I love is just real people on the ground, and
I love it.
And aspect of part of the reason I've been here a little over 4 years now, but I feel a sense of pride that, the work we're doing is helpful to people. Meaningful. And I know we do take for granted having electricity, but it's a miracle, isn't it?
Yeah. Energy is meaningful, right? I mean, it's really important to life, quite honestly, and the quality of life that we experience here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the work that we do, that all of us do to support, the energy industry is important, and it's impactful.
Yeah.
And I think, that's one of the things that also keeps us all coming back is, and on the same for the NACE side. I mean, you guys were the critical teams, right? The critical, people during like COVID.
Sure.
You kept the power on. I mean, wow. What a gift you gave to society during that time.
Yeah. And we can see, in Texas when the power did go out, that it's just, and what was that? A couple weeks in some areas.
Yeah.
And that's massive. It's catastrophic.
Yep.
And in some ways, it does feel like the grid is delicate, but it seems like we keep finding ways to keep it going and strengthening it. And I'm curious what your thoughts on the future of energy, where we're headed. Maybe some things you're bullish about, some things that you're concerned about, or.
Well, it's interesting because we were just talking about this. So some of the things that are exciting. I do love the energy mix that's happening right now, and that will continue to happen. So, we went heavy renewables for a period,
right?
And then now we're starting to see gas, sort of re-enter the picture,
right.
New build gas, I should say. I mean, gas never went away. Natural gas-fired power plants never went away, but new build gas re-entering the picture. Geothermal, we do some work there, but we were talking about nuclear, SMRs, which is the small modular reactors. What is that going to look like?
Right.
You've probably seen some in the news that some of the big data center, kind of hyperscalers are looking at potentially restarting some of the nuclear, like the larger nuclear plants.
Right.
That's interesting. But transmission is the thing I think that makes us all a little nervous.
Right.
Transmission, it just takes a lot of time to get those transmission projects developed and then constructed. And the need for the transmission and the infrastructure to support the new build projects, I think, is one of our, one of my concern areas.
Is it just red tape, do you think, or do you think it's genuine? Because I've heard recently China's transmission lines that they've installed are, I don't know how exponentially larger they are, but compared to the one that was recently installed in California, which took many years, what's your take on that?
The development cycle is long. These transmission projects are enormous. It's enormous dollars. It's an enormous span of space. So, it's not as simple as like, we're just going to do it. Like we'll get the poles, we'll get the towers, we'll put together a quick design, and we'll install this. It'll be easy breezy. Like you've got to cover the amount of just ground that you cover in the leases and the land acquisitions. And, that's a huge part of it. These projects are becoming more and more complicated, how to move that much power. AC, DC, the converter stations. I mean, there's so much more complications to them. But then, you've got permitting concerns always, interconnection. You've got to have the people that want to interconnect into your lines. It's far more complicated than it looks to the outside.
And the NIMBYs.
The NIMBYs, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And fair enough, right?
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough. But, there's some of that as well. And so there's, and that's part of that permitting process.
Yeah.
So there's, there's just a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, I think my understanding has just been, as we've increased, like you mentioned earlier, safety and consideration for people and how environmental impact and all those things. And
That's right.
It makes sense that we would become more careful about what we do next, but obviously that makes it harder to move and at the speed in which everybody would like things to move.
That's right. Well, and at the speed it's going to have to move if we're going to keep up with the power, with the demand. So, I mean, we're going to have to take some of the, like you said, some of the red tape. We're going to have to move faster if we're going to meet the demand requirements. And, one of the things we were talking about, too, today is, some of our projects are doing things like they call it islanding. So they create their own little network, so they build their own power plant to service their data center.
Right.
That comes with its challenges as well, right?
Yeah.
And so...
Because they're generating right next to the data center.
That's right, yeah, and they're providing the power to the data center. We've seen a lot of proposal activity around that, for example, lately. But, there's a lot of benefits to being interconnected to the grid.
Right.
But there's also the necessity. They've got the demand, they've got to move quickly, and they're going to build their own plant.
Yeah.
So I think one of the neat things about right now, and one of the neat things about being part of the energy industry right now, is just that there is so much innovation, and people are clever, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch developers, find solutions. It's fun to watch engineers, figure out how we're going to make these things work. It's, I just really enjoy the work that we do, honestly. It's a great time to be part of the energy industry.
Yeah. Something that I always find interesting is the new forms of power that we've been in, and not necessarily new, but maybe they haven't been scaled up. I'm curious, as an expert, you would know better than I do, hydrogen, or, how far are we from nuclear fusion?
Right.
Some of these different ones. Do you think about those things?
Yes. I mean, we see so one of the other cool things that we do is, we actually review new technologies. So if you want to pilot a project, you're going to need money.
Right.
So anything that's capital intensive, we can help support. So maybe you want to do a pilot, you've got a new technology, you're going to have to get an independent engineer's review of that
Yeah.
to confirm that your technology works and it's scalable. And so that's another neat thing that we do is we do see new technologies. We've done some of that work for DOE. We do it for, private developers, private investors. So that's one of the neat parts of our job that we really enjoy. And we recently saw a neat project that looks like it's a technology that people have been working on for a very long time, and it looks like they finally found a solution. And so it's kind of fun to celebrate that.
Yeah.
So
it's cool.
Yeah,
I think
it is neat.
It makes sense. There's concern about, how are we going to manage some of this? It seems like a lot of these solutions will happen on the back end of things and down the line. But I think you're right. When push comes to shove, things will change. Tape will be removed. And if we need transmission lines, it'll have to happen one way or another. It has to happen,
right. Well, and people will just figure it out. And I think that's the thing I like about, again, kind of going back to the innovation is, it will just be figured out. I mean, it will have to happen, and people will figure it out. I mean, it's really fun to watch smart people work, and clever and innovative people work.
Yeah, I think humans are just undefeated so far. We just keep finding a way to
We'll find
progress.
a way. That's right.
And it doesn't. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it seems like we're still on that trajectory.
Yeah, we are.
We got past nuclear war, hopefully, and some of these pitfalls, but. Yeah, it seems like we keep bouncing back stronger, and I think energy is one of those things, but it keeps me kind of entertained.
It is,
I imagine the same for you.
Same. Yeah.
What would you advise for this next generation, joining school? I think there's been some fear around going into like computer science, some of these different things, but obviously AI is huge, and there's a lot of opportunities out there. So how would you advise that next generation? What would you do if you were in their shoes at this point?
So if I were going to college now, I would do something in the AI space, something that feeds AI. That being said, we still need the subject matter experts. And this is actually a challenge that E3 is facing right now because we're a team of subject matter experts. So we have a whole staff of subject matter experts. And we're looking at implementing AI tools, right? And people that understand AI, I think would be critical, is critical to our business. And that's something that we've been talking about. But also, one of our challenges is how do we train the subject matter experts of tomorrow while still utilizing AI tools and things like that? And are these subject matter experts, do they look like the subject matter experts of today? So do we need the same subject matter expertise? Do we need people that, have deep technical understandings of gas turbines? Is that still the subject matter expert that we need in, 20 years from now? And, and how do we train those people as we are, implementing AI? And so that's one of the challenges that we're faced with right now is, looking at the future and what does that look like and how do we continue to support? Because I still think that you'll need the subject matter experts. You still need the people to be the innovators and the creators. And engineering has, both a deep technical, very sciencey piece, but it also has a creative component as well. And I think we're still going to need those subject matter experts, the creators, the deep thinkers. And so how do we train those people now for the future?
I would tend to agree. I think especially large language models are really powerful, but something we talked about earlier is they never experience the pain of failure.
Right. Yeah.
So they don't ever learn from their mistakes because functionally they don't make mistakes.
Right.
And I agree. Unless, there's other alternative ways that they're building out AI, and it's not just large language models, but I think it's just really imperative to have people that have something to lose, skin in the game, making really critical decisions.
Yeah, that's a smart thought. Well, and something, we kind of talked about earlier actually is, just, I think for the people of the future, the up and comers, well, I'll call them, something I think that is important and is just just find your path and start. Right. Every employer loves a learner. So you maybe you came out of school with the degree that's not on the path that you're going to end up on. Right. But you've demonstrated that you can do something hard, that you can stick with it. You can get the degree and just, commit to being a learner.
Yeah.
And so start down your path, pick a direction and go.
Yeah.
And then I would, and then just commit yourself to learning what you need to learn for the next, the next step, the next phase, the next, whatever's next in technology or AI or energy or, just commit to continuing to being a lifelong learner.
Yeah, I agree. That's been my experience is I just have wanted to get in and like, what solutions can I bring to the table? What things can I do that add value?
That's right. How can you be a contributor?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hopefully we can do this again soon. And,
yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Same. Likewise. Thank you.